Okay. Hello. I've been thinking a lot about today, about you, about what you do, about what's abundant in your life, and who you share that abundance with. I'm an artist who makes projects in public with other people. Sometimes it's one person. Sometimes it's an entire city. What's essential is noticing something, hearing someone say something that strikes me as meaningful, and then figuring out a framework to share it. Letter writing is often that framework. Something I've been doing since sleepaway camp when I was 8 years old. Ooh. Writing to my cousin Stephen. We bonded through letter writing over a shared love of Bruce Springsteen. I've really taken to adorning the envelopes with appropriate postage, relevant postage. I like to play post office and will sometimes set up my own working space in which to write letters. Of course, I have to have the accoutrements, including all the rubber stamps to make it official. Sometimes the letters just go a couple blocks away, but they have that postage, that way of knowing a person, a way of saying, we share a certain understanding about life or a small detail in life. Often the envelope takes the form of the artwork itself. And I'm always hoping to receive beautiful things in the mail. Some of my deepest, longest friendships have been started through the mail, like with this correspondence postcard from my friend Roy in upstate New York. And I'm also always hoping to get something like this. This is a piece of mail from 1895. It's an invitation to a pie social in the shape of a pie. When I was living in upstate New York as an adult for most of my life in Albany, I dreamt about this place called Portland. There was something called PDXCC. It stands for Portland Correspondence Co-op. I knew it was a place that people met monthly over mail and mail art and letter writing. And I would sit in my cubicle at work and dream about going there someday. And in 2016, I ended up moving here. And one of the first things I did was attend a PDXCC meetup. This is a picture of what happens at these meetings. This is where I met this person, Jennifer Jones, pictured on the left. Shortly after we met each other, we ended up in a movie theater seeing the same movie, Faces, Places, directed by Agnes Varda. JJ and I had met each other at PDXCC and had some lovely conversations, but we'd never seen each other outside of the Independent Publishing Resource Center, which is where the meetings are held. Faces, Places is directed by Agnes Varda. She is often considered to be the mother of the French New Wave cinema. She died in 2019. In the movie, there's this amazing scene where this woman greets the postal worker and says, "Got a letter for me?" And he says, "Yep." And he takes a letter out of his mail bag and delivers the letter N to her. After the movie, JJ and I locked eyes and were like, "Can you believe that scene? An actual letter." And a couple days later, a letter appeared in my mailbox from JJ. So in 2020, when I saw this in Northeast Portland, I couldn't believe it. I wrote to JJ immediately. "Dear JJ, I visited a friend tonight, and on the way there, I saw this sign." I was thinking, who else in this city loves Agnes Varda as much as JJ and I? It's so cool they made this sign. Well, she made it. She wrote back to me and she said, "My son and I have been watching so many movies during the pandemic, and we love the Agnes Varda film so much. He suggested that we write Agnes Varda forever all over the city. And one night when I couldn't sleep, I grabbed a paintbrush and went to the end of my block and painted that sign. What's magical is that you saw it." So fast forward to spring 2021. I'm a graduate student at Portland State University. I'm studying art and social practice in their MFA program. And we have an assignment where Professor Harold Fletcher gave each student $100 to commission somebody to do something. So I asked JJ, "Can I give you $100 to continue the Agnes Varda Forever project?" She said yes. Together, we designed a poster that replicated her original sign painting, and on the bottom, tear-off tabs that listed a name of Agnes's film and a short description of the film. JJ's goal was to raise awareness of Agnes's brilliance and hopefully encourage people to take a tab, stick it in their pocket, and Google her later. She made over 500 posters using the $100. They appeared all over Portland and beyond. There were no identifying marks about who either of us are on the poster. No hashtag, no @symbol, no get in touch, no email address, no phone number, just this message. And yet, pictures started to appear on Instagram under the hashtag Agnes Varda Forever. My goal was to appear on the Hidden Portland for the Curious Facebook page. I like to aim really high with my goals. Actually, I like to appear in places that I really enjoy participating in, and I love this Facebook group. And my dream was realized when it appeared. And people started talking about where they found the poster, what tab they pulled, and who was doing this. They were trying to figure it out. Some people naming their friends, other people saying, "No, it's not me." Eventually, the Hollywood Theater put a call out on their Instagram page asking who was doing this to reveal themselves. I just want to point out too, Agnes's daughter also got in on the game. When Hollywood Theater put out this plea for us to reveal ourselves, we decided, okay, it's time. And on Agnes's birthday, we revealed our identities. By this point, I had put the poster up onto my website so that anybody around the world could download it and post it in a place that they love. So this amazing young woman in Laredo, Texas, she put it up in her city. film and animation students in Bogota, Colombia, remixed the poster for their purposes. And around this time, we were contacted by the Clinton Street Theater. They wanted to let us know that they were planning an Agnes Varda festival. And because of all of the interest our project had drummed up in Portland, they wanted to know if we wanted free passes or to work with them on it. So of course, we said yes. And the Agnes Varda Forever Festival was created. We also asked if we could be artists in residence of the movie theater. On opening night, the line to get into the theater snaked around 2 blocks. We invited Power of Women Film Festival to do a Q&A session with us at the opening of the first film, hoping that we could contribute to the making of the next Agnes Varda. A local singer-songwriter wrote a song and performed it about our project. And because we were an artist in residence, we could get up to all sorts of hijinks, which means we could put fake candy in the concession stand. JJ and her daughter Emma could do this beautiful mural outside of the theater. We could take polls about what do you love about going to the movies, and you can answer it just by putting a dot, and we did this right in front of the theater. We sat in the middle of the road and asked people, who do you admire? And we gave them blank forever posters, and they could write their answer, which we later hung up around the neighborhood. Being a part of the place where I live is something I've been doing for almost 20 years. I lived in upstate New York, and for 17 years or so, I hosted a weekly radio show called Hello Pretty City. It started off as a morning radio show and an attempt on my part to play cool music for kind of a shitty city. And I say that out of the most love for Albany, New York. I have already told you I had pangs of admiring Portland because it just seemed so cool. And when I think about cool music, I think wherever I am is just a little bit better. So I wanted to create a soundtrack to seeing a less than cool place as kind of cool for 2 hours a week. Luckily, people listened, and I even got voted as best local radio DJ a couple of times. Each week, I would post the playlist on my website, and I would send out an email newsletter. The playlists go back to like 2005. I even started to make a printed zine that I would hand out for free and at the local movie theater. I would list all the songs I played and write little notes about how it made me feel or just draw. Usually a bird, because that's really the only thing I can draw well. Eventually, this morphed into a printed photo zine. This was around the time when Instagram was getting more popular, and I was noticing that my fellow Albany people were posting these beautiful photos of how they lived their life in upstate New York in ways that I hadn't really had access to. And I wanted more people to see these photos. So I would contact the person and ask them if they would let me pick 8 of their images to publish in a printed zine. And they all said yes. Sometimes it was just a collection of houses in one neighborhood of Albany. And luckily, I worked in a building that had a print shop. And one of the employees had been a huge fan of the radio show. And so when he would assemble these zines for me, he did it with the utmost care. The zines were available for free around town. Right now, I'm working on a project that's called See Also. And I'm doing it at the New York Public Library Picture Collection. That's downtown in New York City at the building that has the big lions in front of it. Now, the picture collection is this really unique place. If you can think about it in terms of a way of doing an analog Google search, it's a huge room filled with clippings from books and magazines organized by subject, over 12,000 subjects, over 1.5 million clippings organized into folders. So instead of typing your curiosity into Google, you can actually go to a binder and you can look up hair washing, and you can go into the room and find all of the clippings related to hair washing. You can lay them out on the table. Well, in 2019, I had done an Instagram takeover for the picture collection, and I did it from Portland. They have 45,000 images in their digital collection, and I used that for the takeover. But I longed to be in New York. I really wanted to sit at this table and spread images that I could touch out in front of me. I wanted to overhear what was happening in that room at that table and who might be looking at something completely different from me. You can see this is a group of students. They're from FIT, I think. And that is what I imagined was happening in the library, and I was missing out on it. These are the folders that are organized that you can go into and pull your pictures from. I was there this past summer doing research as part of my residency there. And that's my friend on the bottom right. We were looking at hair washing. Now, we didn't walk into the library thinking, let's research hair washing. No, we saw it listed and we were like, oh my gosh, there's a subject heading for hair washing? Great, let's look. And while we were looking, one of the librarians comes up and says, what are you researching? So we tell him, and we also told him that we had initially intended to research astronomy, the moon, comets. And he says, oh, that's interesting. The etymology of comet is from the Greek for hair. And when comets are depicted in illustrations, they're often depicted as women with long hair. What I had thought would happen when I was doing the digital takeover from Portland actually happened in real life. A real person walked up and said, what are you curious about? And then helped us make a connection between what we were looking at and what we were curious about or we were dreaming about. While I was there, I actually didn't have any subjects in mind. I wanted to research the researchers. I wanted to be at that table and hear and see what other people were doing. Like Gregory Newson, who was there researching aging hands for a painting he's working on. We talked for a while, and I asked him, what else do you research? What else are you interested? What's your see also? He researches the Black Confederate soldier experience in the Civil War. Yolanda is a painter. She had checked out images of people in swimming pools and in water as research for her paintings. And when I asked her, why swimming? Why water? Are you a swimmer? And she had this moment of realization. where she said, I used to be on the Masters swimming team. She swam part of the Adriatic Sea in Croatia in the 90s. She shared this with me from her apartment in New York. This is Sally. She's a costume designer. I met her because she asked where the bathroom was. And I offered to show it to her. And on the way there, I said, what are you researching? She explained she's working on costumes for a play about Mary McLeod Bethune. I said, well, what else do you do? She designs flamenco dresses and is a flamenco dancer. And a couple days later, I visited her in her studio where she showed me a ton of beautiful dresses and did a few dance moves. One of the librarians, Chantal, shared with me that there's a series of folders that she goes to because they soothe her. And one of them is a folder of pictures of the moon. And on one of my last afternoons at the library, we looked at that folder together. And this is a picture of the moon, and with her hand kind of pointing to it. Later that night, as I was walking home, I saw the moon rise over Central Park, and I just couldn't believe it. So I sent it to her, and at almost the exact same moment, she sent me the picture of the moon she was looking at from Brooklyn. On my first day at the library, I was so excited, just ready. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was like, nothing's gonna distract me. So I'm walking, this is just steps away from the library, and I see this person, and I read, take my art free. And I was like, nope, not gonna do it. This is my first day, I'm gonna get there on time. And I swear, I got 5 steps away, and I was like, oh no, I gotta do it. And I went up to him, and we started talking. He offered to draw my portrait. I think it's a pretty good likeness. He had been doing free art outside the library for a couple of months, and I asked him if he knew about the picture collection. His name is Sung Jin, and he said that he didn't. So I explained it to him, and a couple of days later, he came into the picture collection with him, and I explained how it worked, and he began drawing his own pictures using the picture collection as a reference. We sat and we would go through folders together, and it was great to see how he was seeing those clippings. Oh. This is a project that's still in process. I met all of these amazing people by asking them, what are you researching? And who are you? What is your C also? What is your curiosity? And in the coming months, I'll be assembling a book that collects all of this research that I did. This is a shelf of books inside the picture collection that I hope someday to add my book to as well. All of these books were made using the picture collection. I'll close with this photo. I met this woman on the left during my research trip. Her name's Yolanda. And while we were eating at the restaurant, I noticed that her and the waitress had matching nail polish. And as all of us have spent the past 1,200 seconds in abundance with each other, all of these moments which we have shared in this room, I am thinking about what will we do with all of those moments, all of this abundance together. And my hope is that somehow out in the world, you will find someone whose polish complements yours. Thank you.